It's the last week of September, and that means the Texas high school football scene is only heating up. These are the picks. Welcome into the Picks, your guide to the Texas high school football weekend. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are into week 5 of the 2024 Texas high school football season. Thanks for coming along on this journey with us. And I mentioned this earlier this week on TexasFootball.com that week 5 really represents the end of the beginning. Right? When you talk with Texas high school football coaches, they will tell you that they separate the season into 3 different seasons. There's non-district season at the beginning of the year. There's district season, the games that get you to the playoffs. And then there's the playoffs. Well, for most teams across the state, especially in 6A and 5A, non-district's over. Maybe a couple teams still have 1 or 2 games left, but for the most part, we are ending that first part of the Texas high school football season. And from here on out, the stakes only get higher. Yes, when we get to the playoffs and it is win or go home, obviously things get ramped up even further. But even now, in late September, these games have massive magnitude on what the state of football will look like moving forward. There's huge games with huge implications everywhere you look. We start in San Antonio. 7 o'clock Friday night at Warrior Stadium in San Antonio. It's a big-time 5A showdown in district play as the San Antonio Pieper Warriors welcome in the Smithson Valley Rangers. What are the keys to this matchup? Key number 1, strength on strength. A lot of intriguing elements to this game. You can break it down a variety of different ways, but I don't want to complicate matters too much because this game ultimately is a box office showdown between the San Antonio Pieper offense and the Smithson Valley defense. That's basically what this game comes down to. I love this Pieper offense led by do-it-all superstar dual threat quarterback Caden Keith. He has been terrific. Tons of weapons around him, including running back John Hamilton and big-time wide receiver Isaiah Champagne. Going up against a Smithson Valley defense that is not just traditionally strong. They are. Larry Hill always produces an outstanding defense, but they are also particularly strong this year, led by Hudson Woods off the edge. This defense is playing exceptionally well right now. This is a true strength-on-strength matchup when Pieper has the ball and Smithson Valley's on defense. What happens in this blockbuster showdown? Key number 2, run, baby, run. So there's really no secret about what Smithson Valley is going to try to do when they have the ball. This is a team that has won 300 games under Coach Larry Hill because they run the ball really well. Big offensive line. They got a big-time running back in Brad Sowersby, a great quarterback in Cades Bradley who can take off and run with it, as well a bruising rushing attack for the Rangers. And that could spell trouble for Pieper because their defense, especially on the ground, has not necessarily been consistently strong. Wagner and Johnson were both able to run for more than 5.5 yards per carry in their games. Now, they won both those games, so they came up with stops when they needed them, but this is a big test for Bennett King and company for this Pieper defense. Are they ready for prime time against a big-time rushing attack? And key number 3, old school versus new school. So this is a fascinating pedigree clash between 2 teams in the same district meeting for the first time. Smithson Valley has long been the standard bearer for Comal ISD. They're a 4-time state finalist, including last year making it to the 5A Division I state championship game before falling to Aledo. They have a 300-game winner at the helm in Larry Hill. They are rinse and repeat, one of the finest programs in Texas high school football in the San Antonio area. Hard stop. Going up against San Antonio Pieper, who is in their 3rd varsity season. Yeah, but they've certainly made some noise in those first 3 varsity seasons, especially last year when they ran all the way to the regional finals, and they are trying to take that mantle of the Comal ISD standard bearer away from Smithson Valley. There's a lot of narrative on the line here, especially for Smithson Valley, who has long been the king of Comal ISD. So, how do those implications weigh on this game? Who am I picking? I'm going with Smithson Valley. You got to go with Larry Hill, the 300-game winner, one of the most decorated coaches in Texas high school football history, a guy who has forgotten more football than I will ever know, and a guy who has such a system in place with running game and defense. I think that running game is really starting to get going, and that defense is lights out per usual. Furthermore, I think that the running game for Smithson Valley poses a pretty big problem for this Pieper defense, which has been susceptible to the ground game, because I think this is going to be the best team that Pieper has faced so far this season. Now, if you are Pieper, The name of the game is to get out and run and use the weapons. I think they have the superior weaponry in this game, and playmakers like Isaiah Champagne and John Hamilton plus Caden Keith can really take the top off this defense, and then it's anybody's ball game. But for now, I'm going with the longtime standard bearer of Kamal ISD. I think Smithson Valley takes them a critical district win. Let's go to the DFW Metroplex, 7:30 p.m. Friday night at the Star in Frisco. It is a huge 4A Division I state-ranked showdown as the Frisco Panther Creek Panthers take on the Salina Bobcats in a district game that is dripping with intrigue. You may remember 11 months ago when Panther Creek pulled one of the heists of the century and stunned Celina on the last second against the Bobcats to steal the district championship and get the biggest win in program history, and they are out to prove that it was no fluke, and there's reason to believe it was no fluke. Quarterback Graylin Fry, this kid is sensational. He is so much fun to watch, and he has been absolutely terrific to start the year. I will say, Salina represents a pretty significant step up in competition for Panther Creek compared to who they played in non-district. Salina, on the other hand, has run through a tough non-district schedule. They've played 4 ranked teams, and they've beaten them by an average of 28 points a game. But Panther Creek's going to be the first 4A Division I team that they've played. They've punched down in every one of their games, and they've looked fantastic doing it. Harrison Williams, Franklin Gutierrez, that big offensive line and that defense playing very well. That, to me, is the real matchup in this one. Graylin Fry is a sensational playmaker capable of taking this game over for Panther Creek, but he is going to have to find a way around this high-powered defense for Celina, which is playing their best football right now. This game was a showstopper last year. I expect it's going to be a showstopper again this year, but I think the result is different. I think Celina gets a close win. Let's go to Houston, 7 o'clock Thursday night at Freedom Field in Iowa Colony. It is a big-time District 9-5A Division II showdown between the unbeaten Alvin Iowa Colony Pioneers and the unbeaten Richmond Randle Lions. Last week in District 9-5A Division II action, it was Randall coming away with a monumental victory over Fort Bend Marshall in resounding fashion. They looked every bit the part of a state championship contender. And yes, superstar sophomore running back Landon Williams-Callis is fantastic. Yes, I think their quarterback Tyler Skrabonic is way underrated, but look at me. If they play defense like that, Richmond Randle can win it all. They're that good. Now they get another interesting test against Iowa Colony. No rest for the weary, because this Pioneers team is very, very good as well. I do think that Randall is the best team they faced, but sophomore quarterback Carson White is the name to know. He plays fearless for the Pioneers, and he will need to be fearless against this Randall team. But I think the Lions are on a roll right now. I think Randall gets another big district win. And let's go to Central Texas, 7 o'clock Friday night at Mart ISD Athletic Complex. It is a big District 10-2A Division II opener as the Mart Panthers welcome in the Bremond Tigers. So Mart has won 44 consecutive district games. They have not lost a district game since 2015, but that is in real peril here up against this Bremond team that comes in state-ranked and brimming with confidence. They had a hiccup earlier this season against Grapeland, but otherwise they have been absolutely terrific with freshman quarterback Sam Kozowski. Yes, freshman quarterback Sam Kozowski, and their outstanding running back in Terrence Scott. The defense will be in for a big challenge against Demontrell Medlock, the outstanding playmaker for Mart, who is their leading rusher, their leading passer. He's got 13 total touchdowns on the season. He does a little bit of everything for Kevin Hoffman's ball club. This Mart team does feel like they are rounding into form, and they have not lost a district game in nearly 10 years. I am picking against a streak. I think this game is close, but I think the Panthers come away with district win number 45. But those are far from the only big games in Week 5 of the Texas high school football season, and don't worry, I'm still going to pick every single matchup of UIL unbeatens, plus some other really good ones. Let's get to the lightning round. I like Jayton over Hermley. Edna gets by Orange Grove, and I'm going with Lake Travis over Austin Bowie. I like Miles to keep rolling with a win over Ozona. Great coaching matchup in this one in DFW. I like South Lake Carroll over Keller Timber Creek. And in a game that's lost a little bit of luster, I think Columbus keeps rolling with a win over Belleville. In Fort Worth, I like Arlington Heights over Chisholm Trail. In Dallas, I like W.T. White over West Mesquite. And in the Big Country, I'm going with Jim Ned over Holiday. I don't know what to make of Glen Rose's loss last week, but I think they bounced back with a win over Alvarado. I do know what to make of Hitchcock's win last week. I think they keep rolling with a win over Silsbee. And out west, I like Wall over Sweetwater. I like Newton over Anderson Shiro. Bernie Champion bounces back with a win over Seguin. And I like Centerville over Rogers. Huge game of the Panhandle, I like Canadian over Sunray. Huge game of the Panhandle, I like Panhandle over Wellington. And huge game out east, I like Kilgore over Longview Pine Tree. I like Ira Ann over Reagan County. Give me Beckville to take down Elysian Fields in a really interesting matchup. I like Gilmer in a close one over Brenham. I like Lufkin over Barbers Hill. Poth gets by Karn City. And keep an eye on this one, but I like Port Neches Groves over Montgomery Lake Creek. Shallowater takes down Idalou. I like Laredo Alexander over Laredo United South. And Galena Park North Shore begins district play with a win over unbeaten Humboldt. I like Tom Bean over Whitewright. Atascocita keeps rolling with a win over C.E. King. And Bridgeland beats Langham Creek. Big games in the Valley, I like PSJA North over Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial and McAllen Memorial over Mission. And in San Antonio, we get our first real look at Alamo Heights. I think they beat Bernie. I'm going with Stephenville over La Vega. Give me Corpus Christi Miller over Sinton. And Gunner takes down Bells. I like Wichita Falls Memorial over Abilene Cooper. El Paso East Leda takes down El Paso Austin. In our private school game of the week, I like Houston Kincaid over Houston Second Baptist. And those are the picks. What am I wrong about? Which games did I leave out? Leave comments down below. Don't forget that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks for watching. Enjoy week 5 of the Texas high school football season. We'll see you.